if he's ready. So we have an inspirational moment.
Today's inspirational moment is coming out of Psalm 15:4, which reads, "A righteous man will keep his oath even when it hurts." One of the more difficult scriptures for me to follow, especially at 6 o'clock in the morning, well, 6:45 in the morning, I'm trying to leave to go to work. It's enough I remember that I promised my wife I'd wash the dishes. They're all stacked high staring at me. And I wanted that moment when I keep my oath, even as it hurts. I do it about 80% of the time. My wife is a good forgiver. But this is a good scripture for this event because we're celebrating 60 years of a club's existence. Many of you are aware of the Toastmasters Promise. And most of us, when we first joined Toastmasters, we're not aware that we agreed to this Toastmasters Promise. To show up to clubs prepared. If you're a speaker, to have rehearsed your speech. If you're an evaluator, to have contacted the speaker to know what they want to be evaluated on to give your best job. To show up at a meeting. It gets very hard to keep our oath for Toastmasters. There are many times I feel like staying home rather than going to a Toastmasters meeting. But a club would not remain in existence if Toastmasters, who are members of that club, were not keeping their oath. The fact that this club has been around for 60 years is a sign that it's had many Toastmasters who have kept their oath, which means when it was inconvenient, it still showed up. When a visitor came, they followed up with that visitor and gave them a phone call. They gave great prepared speeches and followed up with wonderful evaluations. So for me, it's an honor to be among you all who kept your oath and came tonight after you promised that you would be here. And in your clubs, I encourage you to continue to do the same so that one day you have this type of celebration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gene. Tremendous job. My name is Eric McNair. I'm the Media Past President for Tallahassee Toastmasters, and I am the de facto chair of the Diamond Jubilee Committee. And I was asked to organize this event. This is about probably a year in the making and planning, so I would really give you a warm welcome for being here. The purpose of the evening is to celebrate our 60th year of being a Toastmaster Club. For those of you who are not familiar with the Toastmaster organization, I will give you a very brief summary. The Toastmaster International Organization can be traced back to October 22nd, 1924, in Santa Ana, California, in the basement of a YMCA. The educational director at the time, Ralph C. Smedley, saw a need for the boys to come together and learn to, quote, train in the art of public speaking and in presiding over meetings. Today, there are more than 13,000 clubs and more than 270,000 membership in over 116 countries. So I'd say Dr. Smedley did quite a good job. Throughout the years of membership of Toastmasters, there have been various people at various walks of life, various stages in their professional career. We've had some that have retired and still maintain their membership, and then some that continue to persist in their career. But all people join Toastmasters for a common purpose, to improve their public speaking skills and leadership skills. As the first Toastmaster Club in Tallahassee and the second club chartered in the state of Florida, the Tallahassee Toastmaster Club is a trailblazer in its own right. Our club was chartered on August 7th, 1952. The charter membership consisted of 25 men from the community, which includes Carl Adams, E.C. Allen, Gene Berkowitz, Bert Bohr, John Brown, Ed Dillon, Dr. Robert Ellman, Lee A. Everhart, Edwin Fleet, Dr. Robert Greenberg, James Gwynn, Paul Hartsfield, Roger Heiss, Walter Kehoe, George R. Langford, Bob Lauer, Dr. Robert E. Lee, Frank Lewis, Larry Murray, Bob Raffnell, Salvador Ramos, Jim St. John, Paul Skelton, C.E. Taylor, B.B. White. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause as we recognize the accomplishments of these individuals and our grandfathers. We actually have the original charter certificate on the back table as you signed in. So at the conclusion of the meeting, I invite you to come and go look at them. Tonight, we have a distinct honor to have the founding president of the Tallahassee Toastmasters Club. Dr. Robert Greenberg was born in Tallahassee 2 years after Dr. Smedley started the Toastmaster movement. He is class of 1941 graduate of Leon High School and a class of 1945 graduate of the University of Florida. He also served in the U.S. Navy on the SS Benson from 1943 to 1946 during World War II. In addition to organizing and serving as president of the Tallahassee Toastmaster Club, he's impacted the community in a variety of ways, including serving on the Medical Advisory Committee to the Department of Highway Safety, being the co-founder and the first president of the Tallahassee Urban League, serving as a member of the Tallahassee Humane Relations Council, serving as the past president, Tallahassee Torch Club, serving as one-time commissioner of Boy Scouts, being an original member of the Red Feather Association, which later developed in the United Way Association. And if that's not impressive enough, he's also, and still currently is actively serving as an optometrist here in Tallahassee, and he has been doing so since 1951, currently working with Dr. Robert Osillo. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Robert Greenberg.
Eric, I don't know what you were talking about, but none of us be proud. And by the way, I'm going to put you in my will as the chief eulogist. It's really a treat to be back in Toastmasters to bring up some old memories. A few weeks ago, I got a jolt from the past when I got phone calls and emails from Eric and Margot, neither of whom I had ever met. Uh-oh, I thought, my sins have caught up with me. These industrious young people have done some research and found that I found someone to blame, or maybe take the credit for originating Toastmasters in Tallahassee. I had almost, but not quite, forgotten what I put into motion more than a half century ago. I understand now there are 20 some odd Toastmasters clubs in the city. How did the poet say it? From little acorns, mighty oaks grow. I look around this room and find it hard to believe that 60 years ago, when I recruited a handful of young men to help me organize a Toastmasters club, that would grow into something like this. In 1952, Tallahassee had a population of 27,000 some odd, and with the addition of 24,000 some odd people in unincorporated Leon County, there are only 51,000 people who claim Tallahassee as home. And most of the young men here at that time were World War II veterans. And the organizations they belonged to included the JCs, Lions, Kiwanis, Rotary, Civitan, and Elks. And of course, most of us also belonged to the American Legion and the VFW. There were many professionals like me looking for ways to improve their communication skills and thereby improve the odds of their being successful. They belong to, you must remember now, this was a time that of Leave It to Beaver and the Partridge Family, when women's place was in the home as wives and mothers, and the men in the family were the primary income producers. Of course, that's all changed since then. Which brings me to Tallahassee Toastmasters. I had heard somewhere, but not for sure, about this organization. I had no knowledge of it, but I had a book written by another eye doctor, mentioned it, and listed the address for the home office. This was, of course, long before the internet, and I couldn't Google it. So I wrote to them, and they obligingly sent back a lot of information and told me how to get started. So I recruited, as well as I could, a bunch of mostly JCs that I was familiar with. And by the way, I noted that, I think you made a little mistake, Eric. I was born at the same time, the same year that Toastmasters was, 1924. You had missed it by 2 years. And after 88, what's 2 years? On a hunch, I wrote a letter to the editor of the Democrat to find out if anybody reading the letter might have some knowledge of Toastmasters. And as luck would have it, I got a response from B.B. White, who was recently moved here from, I think, Minnesota. He was the colored and soft water man here at that time, and he had been a district deputy, or whatever you call him, in Toastmasters up north. He obligingly agreed to help us, and he and his wife, Laurie, became good friends of ours. They have unfortunately since passed on. So I spread the word, mostly among the JCs, and soon had about a dozen, or I think there were 25, I think you said, men interested. And we had a few organizational meetings, and then we elected officers. Because I had spearheaded the organization, they made me president. And the Home Office sent out a certificate, a charter certificate, which is displayed back there. And we had an installation party at what was then the new Duval Hotel. It's changed hands several times since then. And we got Governor Fuller Warren to present the charter to us. It was quite a feather in our cap, I think. In that early group, relying on my faulty memory, because I can't find the clippings, and I'm sure my wife has squirreled away someplace. We had a college professor, Buzz Robert Ely, who later became president of a college in Georgia. A couple of businessmen, Greenberg was back there, who later became one of Tallahassee City's commissioner and eventually mayor. Edwin Fleet, a merchant who has since retired. We also had a highway patrolman, you mentioned Carl Adams. And we had Lee Everhart and George Langford, two prominent businessmen who founded the, what they call it? The Municipal Code Corporation, thank you. One of Tallahassee's prominent businesses. We had two members, not charter members, but came in soon after, of whom I am inordinately proud. One of them was a fellow named Steve Wetzler, a Dutch immigrant who spoke with such a heavy accent that most people couldn't understand it. Toastmasters fixed that. He became very, very proficient in English. And then there was another fellow, Homer Brinkley. Homer Brinkley was Tallahassee's answer to Andy Griffith. This is a guy who came from the backwoods of Jackson County or Gaston County, I'm not sure which, where he had been a barber, Tallahassee to go into the real estate business with his brother. Problem was, he had lots of stories, but he stuttered so badly, he just spoiled the effect of it. After a few months in Toastmasters, he was out on the circuit tour, giving speeches, humorous speeches all over the state, and rumor has it he got paid for it. That's one of our success stories. We now have 20 or more Toastmasters clubs in Tallahassee, as I understand. They're all doing well, apparently. But most of the original members, Paul Skelton, I see right there, is one of them. Most of them, unfortunately, have left us either through death or moved away. And I appreciate this opportunity to refresh my memory and tell you something about what happened 60 years ago, and to see some old familiar faces. By the way, are there any legacies on Toastmasters whose fathers or maybe grandfathers were Toastmasters? None, I don't see any hands going up. My son, who couldn't be here tonight, was a Toastmaster for a while, and I have a granddaughter who was a Toastmaster. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't stay in the club as long as they should. Perhaps they should. We have other things to do, I guess. Of all the things that I've had a part of doing in this hometown, and Eric mentioned some of them, I can't think of anything that I have done more for the individual participants than this fine organization. I'm sure all of you will agree with me that Toastmasters has furthered your self-assurance, if nothing else. And if you're confident in your ability to communicate with your peers, you know that it can't help but advance your careers in whatever your place in life is. Thank you for letting me come tonight, and thank you, Eric, for inviting me.
Wanted to recognize you, just a small token of appreciation for the time that you took, and we present you this small.
Well, thank you. Well, what do you know? A round trip around the world.
Still not over. How about that? And I hope that my memory is just as good when I get to be 88 years young.
That's because he had it now.
And he had a little bit of prep time. I'd also like to take time to recognize half the people that are also Gene Berkowitz and the other is Paul Skelton. If you could please stand as well, I'd really like to recognize you guys. Oh, Ed, are you here too, Ed Fleet? Yeah. Okay. Would you stand as well? I'm sorry. Really an inspiration. To give you guys some perspective, I wanted to do a little bit I did some digging because I just really wanted to put myself back in 1952. So, at this time, 60 years ago, General Dwight D. Eisenhower was campaigning to become the 34th President of the United States. The TV show Dragnet and the Today Show just premiered on NBC. There was a tropical storm, sound familiar, formed just north of Cuba, moving northeast. The storm made landfall in southern Florida the next day. This is the earliest reported landfall from a tropical storm. American in Paris, starring Humphrey Bogart, won the Academy Award for Best Picture. The maiden flight of the B-52 Stratofortress occurred. Mr. Potato Head was the hottest new toy that was introduced. And amazingly enough, 60 years, we can still find Mr. Potato Head in stores. A satirical comic book entitled Mad debuted. Anybody familiar with Mad? It later became Mad Magazine, and it just starred Alfred E. Newman with the popular catchphrase, "What? Mean worry?" Those were just a little bit of tidbits of history. At this time, we're going to close here in a minute, but at this time I'd like to invite all of you in the audience who are currently a Toastmaster or a past Toastmaster to please rise. Okay. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so let's announce, what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce a category. And if you're in the category, I want you to sit down. Who's been a Toastmaster for 5 years or less? Five to 10 years. 10 to 20 years. 20 years or more. If you've been a Toastmaster for 20 years or more, please stand. That's you. Dr. Greenberg? Oh, you're not 20 years, okay. Randy?
You have to be.
How many years, Dale? Were you a Toastmaster?
I've been a Toastmaster for 39 years.
Well, 25 years when I moved out of Panama City.
Very good. Let's give a round of applause to all the Toastmasters, past and present. A wonderful organization, and if the majority of the room here is a Toastmasters, there's a few people that are not. Some of them are 10 and under, which are Toastmasters in training, as I like to see. But if you happen to not know anything about Toastmasters, there's some really good literature and information in the back or in the side corner here. But at this time, I'd also there's some dignitaries in the room I'd like to recognize. If you are a past or present area or division or governor, please stand. Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. At this time, we are going to move into the closing portion, but I'd like to invite Margot Thomas here. Margot was instrumental in organizing this and getting the marketing out, and she just did a really yeoman's job of getting the word out about this event. She did electronic, she did Facebook, she did email, she did everything. So I'm going to have her do the honors of reading something very special to us.
Commissioner Akinyemi was going to read this for us today. This evening. He had another event and he was going to try his hardest to get here on time, but unfortunately he's not here. It is a proclamation and it says, whereas the ability to speak effectively, listen carefully, and think critically are among the most valuable talents a person can develop, and whereas the development of communication and leadership abilities is of great value to our democratic society and our free enterprise system, and whereas the debate and discussion of topics are tried and proven methods of enlightenment, and whereas the activities of the Toastmasters International have had a beneficial influence throughout the world, and whereas more than 1 million individuals and many thousands of Floridians have enjoyed the benefits available through membership in a Toastmasters Club, and whereas August 7th, 1952 was the establishment of the first Toastmasters Club in the city of Tallahassee and Leon County, and it is one of the oldest clubs in the state. And whereas the Department of Transportation and the state of Florida have supported the Tallahassee Toastmasters for the improvement of its employees and partners, and have greatly benefited from this educational opportunity. Now, therefore, I, Akeem S. Akinyemi, as chairman of the Leon County Commission, hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing August 7th, 2012, as Tallahassee Toastmasters 60th Diamond Jubilee Day, dated the 7th day of August, 2012.
A tremendous job. Unfortunately, Commissioner Akinyemi couldn't be here, but you did a really good job with that. I'd also like to give special thanks to the Florida Department of Transportation. We have some representatives here from the Department of Transportation because they provided Tallahassee Toastmasters Club a meeting space we've called home for many, many years. How many years?
Since 73.
Since 1973. We've met in a little cafeteria meeting room, and we have a lively meetings, noon, Tuesdays, every week, and it has been a tremendous value to our club to have as home. I'd also like to give special thanks to my club planning committee, because it was not just one, it was a team effort to get this pulled off. Margot Thomas, when you hear your name stand, please. Margot Thomas, York Mills, Sid Kameth, Mooney Malpati, could not be here with us today, Randy Desolé, Julie Adamson, Kay Kuhn. Okay. We're going to be wrapping up shortly. Actually, quicker than I thought we would, so you'll have time to enjoy your evenings more and enjoy some lovely refreshments. But I want to thank each and every one of you very much for coming out. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more, as I mentioned before, there's some literature on the back table. Or you could grab one of the people who were standing up previously in the meeting. Feel free and stay and enjoy the networking and the good food, the fellowship. And I give everyone, yes, Sid.
I just wanted to make a brief, when you get finished, before you close it, I just wanted to make a couple brief remarks.
Okay. We have an impromptu speaker, ladies and gentlemen. This is the good format of Toastmasters. You're experiencing a club meeting right now. Is this going to count toward a speech, Sid?
It's all up to the audience whether they would like to consider that.
All right. And welcome to the podium, Sid Campbell.
Thank you. I just decided to throw this in for a few minutes. I think you may have, some of you wondered why we have two banners. One on the side over here, stringed with ribbons, and another one like this. About a year ago, Toastmasters went through a self-examination with the help of a consultant, as all good organizations do. And they were convinced the rebranding of the organization would give more publicity and a better image for the organization. So they changed from this former logo to the one on the right here. Now you may notice that this one doesn't have streamers covering everything else. Well, I want to let people know that we will be adding a banner to this one very shortly, because we achieved Select Distinguished Club with the International Toastmasters this year after a long drought. So in the near future, we're going to try to match that through our efforts. Hopefully it won't take as long as these. Some of them are stacked one on top of one another. But that's our goal, to cover this one up. And with club members like we have, that's certainly a possibility. Other thing I wanted to mention is something that people may not be aware of. Margaret Thomas also achieved something else this year. She was recently recognized as the Tallahassee Startup Business of the Year for the city of Tallahassee. She came to our group, I think, was it 2 years ago? 2008, a little longer serve in office her roles, and she's also, I have to hand it to her, the effort she put into organizing this is just beyond compare. And if you need somebody, I was going to say, if you need somebody to organize your event, but she's going to kill me now. That's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to get that in so people would have something else to talk about as we hang around here until they throw us out 11:30 at night. Thank you.